NASCAR hits Chase Briscoe's team with the NASCAR equivalent of the death penalty, as far as I'm concerned. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove, midweek edition of the show. We've got some massive breaking news to get to in just a moment, but first, this episode is sponsored by Prairie City Bakery. Y'all know me, I've got a sweet tooth. Prairie City Bakery sent me some of their ooey gooey butter cakes to try out, the perfect race day treat. These decadent cakes are like a victory lap for your taste buds, delivering a rich, buttery goodness that gets better with every bite. Whether you're heading to the track or you're watching the race from home, you can find Prairie City Bakery's ooey gooey butter cakes at convenience stores nationwide. You can also head to pcbakery.com for more. I had a hard time picking a favorite. I'm partial to cinnamon flavored things, but honestly, the classic ooey gooey butter cake flavor was tough to beat. Pick up some ooey gooey butter cakes today and make your race day a snacking big win. For the second evening in a row, we've got major breaking news, bad news if you're a fan of a driver named Chase. We'll discuss the latest and greatest NASCAR penalty in just a moment, but first, there was some other breaking news this morning. NASCAR confirmed that the 2024, next year's championship weekend, will once again be hosted by Phoenix Raceway. Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup will wrap up their season in the desert for the fifth straight year at that point. Let's see, 2020 was Phoenix, 21, 22, this year will be 23. Yes, next year will be the fifth straight year of a Phoenix finale. It's confirmed. I've seen a lot of criticism from fans who I think were hoping NASCAR would move the championship finale somewhere else, maybe back to Homestead. And I completely get that. You know, we've seen Phoenix now for 3 years. This year will be year 4, and it's not the best racing. Phoenix is also, kind of an interesting choice of a city. It's not really thought of as a racing hotbed. It's not flashy like LA or Las Vegas. I like Phoenix the few times I'm visited, but it is an interesting choice. Today's announcement didn't surprise me at all. I wouldn't expect any major schedule shifts until the next media rights deal is signed in time for 2025. Then we could see some pretty huge shufflings. Perhaps a different track would host the championship finale then. But, allow me to defend Phoenix for just a moment. The racing isn't great. I don't think it's awful. It's very hard to pass. But, Kevin Harvick showed us a few weeks ago that, hey, on the long run especially, if you have a car that's hooked up, if you're a more than capable driver, then you can make moves happen there. But sure, the on-track racing product is iffy at best. The facility, I think, is top 5 in the sport. Maybe top 3. Like, off the top of my head, only Daytona International Speedway, I think, has a nicer facility than Phoenix Raceway. Between the infield experience, the grandstands, everything, I think Phoenix is a very, very great fan experience, more than deserving of a major date like the NASCAR Championship. If only the on-track product could live up to that hype. I'm not surprised, and I don't think I'm as disappointed as many fans are by this announcement. Yeah, by 2025, I'd like to see a different track as the finale. Maybe Homestead Miami Speedway returns. I think the championship track suited that venue very nicely. Shoot, I'm sure Kyle Larson would love to see that. If he can at least get to the championship 4, Larson could be a 5, 6, dare I say 7-time champion if the season keeps wrapping up at Homestead. Phoenix Raceway is owned by ISC, which is owned by NASCAR. Homestead Miami is also owned by ISC. Other tracks like Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which could make for a decent finale destination, are owned by SMI. I don't know how those contracts would work, but I doubt NASCAR, ISC, wants to give up the championship date to an SMI venue. Which stinks because, maybe Las Vegas doesn't work out. I think Charlotte, quite honestly, the Oval, would be a great championship finale. Maybe it's a little chilly by early November. I don't know, local North Carolinians, let me know. Is November a bad time to race? But I've seen enough the past 2 years. The next gen car races Charlotte Motor Speedway better than maybe any other track on the schedule. It's right there in NASCAR's backyard. I think it would be a great championship destination. Scrap the Roval maybe. The ratings keep going down every single year. Just make it 2 oval dates, Coke 600 in May, and then the chillier but still spicy championship finale in November. If SMI can ever wrestle the championship date away from ISC, I don't know. Las Vegas makes sense, but I would also throw a vote for Charlotte, unless y'all in the comments can give me a logical reason as to why that's a bad idea. But anyway, there's the news from this morning. Now let's get to the big breaking bombshell. NASCAR just issued one of, if not the largest individual penalties ever levied against, a single race team. In this case, the Stewart-Haas Racing number 14 car. Driver Chase Briscoe's race team was smacked with an L3 penalty after NASCAR discovered a counterfeit next-gen part on their race car at the R&D Center this week. As a result, Chase Briscoe was docked 120 driver points. The team was docked 120 owner points, 25 playoff points as well. Crew Chief Johnny Klausmeier was suspended 6 races and fined $250,000, $250K. These numbers are staggering. We'll dive deeper into them in just a few moments. What was the counterfeit part? NASCAR VP of Competition Elton Sawyer said, quote, "In the post-race inspection at the R&D Center, we found the number 14 car had an engine panel NACA duct not in compliance with the rulebook. It is a counterfeit part, and that is an L3 penalty. We need to make sure we're keeping the teams and the car in compliance. The deterrence model has to fit that, and that's our responsibility as custodians of the sport and of the garage." Elton Sawyer then had a strong message to send to the rest of the NASCAR industry, saying, quote, "Don't mess with a single source part. Working in areas we used to in the Gen 6 car is just not going to be acceptable with this car as we move forward. It's not going to be the culture we're going to allow." This is all happening in the moment. There's a lot to digest. First and foremost, I'm not technical enough to know exactly what that engine panel duct does. But after going online and listening to folks who I think do know what they're talking about, it sounds like most likely Stewart-Haas was looking to gain some sort of downforce advantage by modifying, or actually full-on replacing, this part. Stewart-Haas Racing's Greg Zipadelli confirmed that they will not appeal. Saying, "We had a quality control lapse and a part that should have never been on a car going to the racetrack ended up on the number 14 car at Charlotte. We accept NASCAR's decision and will not appeal." They messed up. They effed around. They found out. They got caught. And now, unfortunately, Chase Briscoe's season is virtually over. At least any chance he had of winning the championship, out the window. I know he wasn't a championship favorite at this point by any means, but he was 17th in points, right there on the playoff bubble. Now, as a result of this penalty, he's 32nd. No chance he points his way back into the top 16. He's going to need to win one of these next 11 races. But the reason I say his championship aspirations are done is because even if Chase Briscoe wins a race this summer, I don't think he's going to win more than one race. They've not shown that kind of speed. He is still going to enter the playoffs with like -20 playoff points. And I don't see Chase Briscoe winning a race in each round to advance to the championship. He's done. At best, Briscoe is a round of 16 exit. All because of this mistake. Can we call it a mistake? Greg Zipadelli calls it a mistake. I don't think it's a mistake. All because they got caught, the number 14 season is effectively over. And that's very unfortunate considering whatever advantage they thought this was giving them didn't seem to help much. Chase Briscoe was running 35th in the early stages of this weekend's Coke 600. He was arguably the slowest car in the field. Thanks to attrition, I think he finished like 20th, but still, they were terrible, even with this illegal part. That just adds insult to injury. I don't know what to say. I like Chase Briscoe a lot, but Stewart-Haas Racing is in absolute shambles. If it wasn't clear already, it is clear now. They are so far off their game right now. And this penalty is only going to set them back even further. Boy, Kevin Harvick's getting out just in the nick of time. This ship is sinking. It hasn't sunk completely. It can still be patched up. Maybe Josh Berry can help save the day. Rodney Childers will stick around. Maybe he can help. But boy, this thing is taking on water and things don't look great right now over at Stewart-Haas Racing. I don't have much else to say. Just disappointed. I'm honestly disappointed the whole industry at this point. These penalties, fascinating as they sometimes are, shoot, Louvergate between Hendrick and Colleague was very, very interesting, but also very, very frustrating. I'm glad at least in this case we're not going to have to sit through a tedious appeals process. But we've seen some great racing this season. We've seen some dramatic storylines, rivalries brewing on the racetrack. But so much of the on-track action has been overshadowed by midweek penalties, whether in some cases it's been issues with the suppliers or in other cases it's been the teams just playing in that gray area, or in some cases just blatantly breaking the rules, hoping they don't get caught. These midweek penalties have had such an impact on the current regular season standings, it's a little frustrating. I want the action on Sunday to speak for itself. I hate that millions of NASCAR fans across the world have to wait until Tuesday or Wednesday to know what actually happened on Sunday. This isn't an every week thing, no, but it almost feels like it. I mean, how many earth-shattering penalties have contenders been hit with this year? I mean, I know the Louvre penalty got largely rescinded, but all 4 Hendrick cars got smacked by that initially. And then, later on, Byron and Bowman got hit with a massive penalty. Austin Dillon got a penalty, Denny Hamlin with that behavioral penalty, Chase Elliott this week getting suspended. That's a penalty. It's exhausting at this point. And the teams are not helping their argument. The ongoing negotiations between NASCAR and the race teams. The teams are over here like, hey, we're losing money. We need more of the TV revenue. We need these charters permanent to secure our investment. While NASCAR, and at this point I can't blame him, is saying, hey, our business model isn't that flawed. You guys are just spending a crap ton of money trying to break the rules. I mean, I almost think NASCAR has a point. If these teams would stop bending the rules, illegally modifying, or straight up counterfeiting the next-gen car like they're a cartoon villain printing money, they might not be in the red. These teams might be profitable. I think that's NASCAR's point. So, I don't know, I'm thinking about the big picture. Obviously, this sucks for Chase Briscoe and his fans. Should he even make the playoffs, he'd be a waste of a spot at this point. But bigger than that, more penalties cluttering up the midweek headlines. But bigger than that, even the ongoing revenue negotiations. How does this affect them? I think it does, at least somewhat. I don't know. Like Elton Sawyer said in that statement, the old culture of NASCAR decades ago was finding those gray areas, bending the rules, and riding that momentum until you got caught. The teams signed off on and agreed on this new next-gen car, and part of that agreement was to abandon that way of thinking. Can't play in those gray areas anymore. This car is spec. It's supposed to save you guys money in the long run. Let us help you. Quit overspending on what are now illegal advantages. NASCAR's running a tight ship because the teams asked them to. I don't really know what else to say at this point. I think this is bigger than just, oh man, sucks for Chase Briscoe, sucks for Stewart-Haas. I think this speaks to a much bigger deal than just that. But maybe that's just me. In more positive news, earlier today I posted a video about Rockingham Speedway. I got to visit recently, check out the many changes they've made, hoping to bring NASCAR back. We talk about the history, we talk about the future. If you missed that video this morning, go check it out. Really proud of how it came out. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's a little different. The tone, the pacing, the style, a little different than a typical episode, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Other than that, man, I've been trying to make a video the last 2 days reacting to Denny Hamlin's spicy comments on his podcast this week, but keeps getting pushed to the side by bigger breaking news. Maybe tomorrow we'll discuss some of what Hamlin said because he did have some very interesting comments earlier this week. But that's gonna do it for this episode. Share your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. If you love NASCAR racing, you want to stay in the loop on all the latest news, drama, penalties, race recaps, and more, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And thank you to my Patreon supporters for your very generous support. I will see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, folks. Thanks for watching.